All right, Shalom. I want to start out by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shimon, Abishai, by Shimon Kakodash. The bonus to the apostle and elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the argument they're pushing the word of sincerity and the truth. It's the brother Balzar from Great Millstone, Atlanta, and I have this article I wanted to go into. Further exposes the devil, his civilization, everything he stands for, which is nothing but wickedness, and all the wickedness that he pursues and is associated with is the same wickedness that's going to bring his society down. As it is written, he had digged a pit and he shall fall therein. And I'm gonna read the title of this. It says war is good for business and organized crime. Afghanistan's multi-billion-dollar opium trade. And as we're familiar with, Esau will go to these different countries, whether it's in Africa. That's why, which I just watched the video today. And one main product that was taken from, I think, preferably South Africa was diamonds, man. The diamond district, which is a phony market, has been prevalent in the world unto this day from the so-called white man invading Africa, and having those Hamites scramble for the diamonds and for them to ship them across seas, to America, to Europe, and all these different things to fashion and wear for luxurious purposes, when it's really worthless. Because first off, the resources that they were living on, by right it belonged to those people, but the so-called white man, as it is written in John the 10th chapter, it says the thief cometh not but to steal, kill, and destroy. And that same, layout, which he's nothing but an old dog, so you can't teach an old dog new tricks and revelations. He's known as this old serpent, the devil. He uses the same tactics and the same strategy in different departments of the world. So when he's in Afghanistan and he's presenting himself, with his suit and tie, whether it's somebody in a Democratic or political office, whether it's a Republican, your president, whether it doesn't matter who it is, the guys in the white suits, or the suit and tie, or the women, that present themselves all dressed up and speaking about ISIS and terrorism, and America actually has to go in and fix the broken problem in these countries. They're not going to try to recreate the system. They're going for products. They're going for resources. They're going for control of lands. This is chess, not checkers, And one thing that they've, or one of the many things that they've done is, went to these different lands, Afghanistan, Iraq. Of course, we're familiar with the war of Iraq, the war of Afghanistan. They're speaking about Syria. They speak about Iran. All these countries have something that America wants, and that's why the opium trade has been a multi-billion-dollar trade. And now you have this this opium, or what is it, opioid epidemic that's going on in America, and that is dealing with, and that comes from Esau going to these different lands. So I'm gonna read a little bit in this article. Rising heroin addiction in the U.S. Afghanistan's opium economy is a multi-billion-dollar operation, which has a direct impact on the surge of heroin addiction in the U.S. Right, so when the troops are overseas and they're in those different fields, if I'm not mistaken, poppy is the main product that produces opium. I may be wrong, but the opium itself, when they're overseas, they're not just burning the products or avoiding the products in the midst of war. They're taking these products and they're shipping them overseas, whether it's by ships, whether it's by plane, and they're putting it, lodging in the merchandise. You watch these different movies, which he was a low level guy, Frank Lucas. He's high in today's visual, in the optics of humans today. They look at him as a big wig as far as the drug trade goes. This guy, Frank Lucas, which Denzel Washington played Frank Lucas in the movie American Gangster, a few years back. But, he would hide bricks, of cocaine in the bodies of in caskets, and that was one tactic. And it's multiple ways is that the drugs were smuggled, and a lot of people in the higher up departments that's supposed to be protecting and serving the citizens, they authorized and they gave clearance for these drugs to be shipped and moved into the U.S. And now you see the addiction of the citizens by these drugs. You see? So it says, despite President Trump's announced U.S. troop withdrawal, the Afghan opium trade continues to flourish. It is protected by U.S. NATO occupation forces on behalf of a nexus of powerful financial and criminal interests. In 2004, the proceeds of the Afghan heroin trade yielded an estimated global revenue of the order of $90 billion. This estimate was based on retail sales corresponding to a total supply of the order of 350 kilograms of pure heroin, corresponding to Afghanistan's 3,400 tons of opium production. Today, a roughly estimated based on U.S. retail prices suggests that the global heroin market is above the $500 billion market. This multi-billion-dollar hike is the result of significant increase in the volume of heroin transacted worldwide, coupled with a moderate increase in retail prices. I'm gonna keep going. This is some heavy information, and of course, if brothers want to read the rest, feel free. Based on the most recent data, opium production in Afghanistan is one of the orders of 9,000 metric tons, which after processing and transforming is equivalent to approximately 900 kilograms of pure heroin. 900,000 kilograms of pure heroin. So they're moving metric tons of this product, which equals up 9,000 equals up to 900,000 kilograms of pure heroin. So it says with the surge in heroin addiction in 2001, the retail price of heroin has increased. According to DEA intelligence, which the DEA is the Drug Enforcement Agency, and they're not enforcing drugs to be pushed out. A lot of these individuals in these different pockets of these intelligence agencies, whether it's the DEA, the CIA, or the FBI, whatever alphabet group that you're familiar with, that whether it deals with drugs or deals with criminal, cracking down on the criminal organizations and, fighting and resisting, a lot of these top guys authorize it, you see? And you'll watch these different movies. I remember the movie RoboCop came out years ago, and it showed how the different individuals, I think it was the FBI and the Federal Bureau Department, were authorizing, drug distribution. I think Brick Mansion showed that. It's a slew of movies that show that the top tier elites in these different intelligence or federal agencies are authorizing, and they're making a huge lump sum, a strong salary off of drugs, and they use these different, the drug financial increase to market whether political agendas, such as your president's runs and things of that nature to get elected, or whether anything that deals with backing, or any type of market that deals with that has to be heavily funded, millions of dollars. A lot of it, or whether it's a college or an educational center that needs to be built up, some type of market that needs to be erected or established, a lot of it comes from the background of drug money. So it says 1 gram of pure heroin was selling December 2016 in domestic U.S. market for $902 per gram. The heroin trade is colossal. 1 gram of pure heroin selling at 902 is equivalent to almost $1 million a kilo. $902,000. So it's more to the article, but that really just that was the lion's portion of the article that drives home the point of how big business is established through drugs. Drugs and basically keeping you people heavily addicted. And you see, like I said, this opioid epidemic. You see these different epidemics and things of such taking place in America. And these people are in awe They're shocked, but they don't know where these things are coming from, and they think it's your local Negro or Latin pusher. Whether in California or in New York, that's actually pushing heavy weight around the world. Nah, it's these ones that's dropping metric tons from overseas, strictly from Connex boxes. You know, ships that's actually importing thousands of kilograms. You know, it ain't your local street pusher that's pushing nicks, dimes and nicks and grams, like you were saying. It's Esau that's dropping the big package, which these big packet individuals that drop the big packages, they give the big packages to individuals. They hire frontmen. That's why you hear about El Chapo or Pablo Escobar and these different so-called legendary drug pushers. They just make them the face of drugs instead of themselves. That's why you have the term politicians, which the term politician goes into the word politis, which means to make white. They make themselves as the face of pureness and innocence, and they'll actually rally against drugs, but they actually permit drugs in their funding. Like a lot of these politicians that's actually on the I would say the ballot right now. Your Bernie Sanders, which he's not funded by any billionaires, if I'm not mistaken. I was listening to the news, but all the other ones they're financially funded by billionaires, and these billionaires didn't become billionaires because they worked a 9 to 5 and they ended up working up in the company. Now a lot of them have their hands in drug trade. You had this guy Epstein that just died recently, and he had his hand in all kind of filthism. And in order to be a real billionaire, it's statistically proven, the richer you get in society, the wickeder things you have to do. So it's all biblical prophecy. The scriptures speak about Esau being exposed. Isaiah 47 chapter speaks about lifting the skirt and exposing this man. You have to expose his market. You have to show where this stuff is coming from, where's death, because the people are sick, they're mourning, they're oppressed, they're heavily addicted. But what's the root cause? You can identify the symptoms. You can identify the byproducts of the ailments of what's going on. But what's the driving force behind why these individuals feel the way they feel? And who is the primary, I would say, individual, for lack of a better term, who is the primary individual that's actually, making things so? Who's the witch waving the wand? And it's the so-called white men, the Edomites. All right, so this is Ezekiel 28:4. With thy wisdom and with thine understanding, thou hast gotten thee riches and hast gotten gold and silver into thy treasures. And I just spoke about the, diamonds, which, I'm going to do extensive research, which, of course, you had plenty of gold rushes, whether it was a California gold rush. Here in Georgia, there was a big gold rush, the Cumming-Dahlonega gold rush, which that's, off Georgia 400. And that was a major gold rush, and the natives were getting their lands took and their products compromised. You had Argentina, which that's known as the city of silver. When you look up Argentina, by definition, it deals with silver products. And the so-called white man went to Argentina and these different lands to steal these different resources, your hard assets, But it says, by thy great wisdom and by thy traffic. And I always go into this point, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shai, of the left-hand side trafficking and the right-hand side trafficking. You can read that in Revelations 18, where it speaks on all the products that Esau profits off of. And he's known as a witch in the scriptures. Now, cocaine is not written in the Bible. Heroin is not written in the Bible. Crack is not written in the Bible. He's just known as a witch or a sorcerer due to the products that he takes out of the earth and uses it for addictive reasons. You see, so the Bible just drops the main point on who, how wicked this man is. But it says, by thy great wisdom, and this wisdom is sorcery and witchcraft. The word, witchcraft, the crafting of witchism or Wicca, magic, that's a form of wisdom in the world, this world, so to speak, which is truly not wisdom. It tells you in Sirach, knowledge of wickedness is truly not knowledge. But it says, and by that traffic, which you have the sex trafficking rings, the drug trafficking, the gun trafficking, arms dealing, all these different illegal practices, Esau profits, and they're all billion-dollar, trillion, combined, they're trillion-dollar industries. You know, you can look up the top 10 or the top 20 pharmaceutical companies that actually have heroin strands and, you know, opium, and whether it's all these different drugs you know of, and they're on the legal market, which makes people more addicted, and people are dying from these illegal drugs. More people are dying from legal drugs than illegal drugs. That's why you have a rising surge of, you know, rappers that rap about these different drugs. You know, back in the day, it wasn't a lot of drugs and pills that would be rapped about, but the so-called white man wanted more money, so he got these nigger-ass rappers to rap about whether it's Percocets or you know, Molly. You know, it goes by a storm. These different drugs, these Superman drugs, they go by a storm of names, and you even have nigger rappers that actually have chains to promote these different drugs. You know, that's their way of advertising. They can't do Molly on your you know, television, so they set up Jake as the face of the people. You know, but it says, and by thy traffic hast thou increased thy riches, and that's why this man profits off of all. You know, and thine heart is lifted up because of thy riches. Therefore, thus saith the Lord power, because thou hast set thine heart as the heart of the Most High. Behold, therefore I will bring strangers upon thee, the terrible of the nations, and they shall draw their swords against the beauty of thy wisdom, and they shall defile thy brightness. Right, so these different nations are going to come to America to destroy it. That's why, like I said, in Revelation 18, it speaks about all the products that the so-called white man has in hand, and it speaks about how the nations are going to react, you know, to, you know, well, how they're going to act on this system, you know, which is shooting thermonuclear missiles. So, you know, this is just that was just the main thing I wanted to go through the article, through the Spirit of the Lord, you know. So I'm going to end it by giving all praise and glory to Yahweh, Shema, Shabbat, Shimmer, Kakodash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom,